frail girl stood before a mansion's iron gates, her voice trembling yet fierce. "Sir, if you trade me your leftovers, I'll give you a miracle." The paralyzed millionaire on the balcony let out a sharp laugh, mocking the thought. He had all the wealth in the world, but none of the faith. Yet what happened next would silence every doubt and leave an entire city whispering her name. The mansion loomed like a fortress of stone and glass, high above a street where hunger and dust lived side by side. At the gate stood a girl no older than 10, her clothes patched, her shoes worn thin. But her eyes held something unshakable, something the wealthy man inside hadn't seen in years. He sat in his chair on the balcony, unable to walk, unable to move below the shoulders. His empire had given him every luxury, yet left him prisoner of his own body. When her trembling voice carried upward, "Trade me your leftovers for a miracle," he laughed, the sound bitter and cruel. To him, miracles belonged only in fairy tales, and hunger was a stranger's problem. Yet behind her plea was more than a beggar's cry. It was a promise, spoken with the weight of someone who had already endured more than most adults ever would. The girl's name was Amara. She grew up in the narrow lanes where children played with broken bottles instead of toys, where mothers whispered prayers over empty pots. Her father had died in a factory fire. Her mother's health had failed slowly after. Amara learned to survive by collecting scraps of food others threw away. She told herself each day that dignity was not lost in hunger, it was only tested. And she carried one secret. Her grandmother had taught her healing remedies, strange but powerful blends of herbs, oils, and faith. Neighbors called her the child with healing hands. Some mocked, others believed. Amara herself didn't fully know, but she believed enough to stand here at the gates of a millionaire who had more food wasted in a day than her community saw in a week. He mocked her again. "A miracle, you say? You think a child can fix what doctors and money cannot?" His voice dripped with contempt. From the street, passers-by glanced, then looked away. They saw a girl dismissed, a child laughed at. Silence swallowed their pity, but Amara did not lower her head. "Leftovers feed the stomach," she whispered to herself. "But faith feeds the soul." Days passed. She returned each evening, waiting by those gates. Sometimes she received scraps, sometimes nothing. The neighbors began to murmur. Was this stubborn girl foolish, or was she waiting for something greater? Inside the mansion, the millionaire's nights were sleepless. Pain spread across his body, sharper than before. The doctor spoke of limits, of acceptance, of no more hope. And in the quiet, he remembered the child's steady eyes, her words of impossible promise. On a night heavy with rain, when despair pressed against his chest, he ordered the gates opened. Amara entered for the first time, barefoot, carrying a cloth pouch of herbs her grandmother once blessed. She spoke no grand words. She asked for no gold. She only said, "Let me try." For hours she worked gently, pressing oils, reciting prayers, whispering words that mixed healing with faith. The man who had once laughed now closed his eyes, surrendering not to her, but to the hope she carried. And then, fingers twitched, toes stirred, movements thought impossible began to awaken. He wept, not from pain, but from the shock of feeling what he thought was lost forever. Neighbors filled the street the next morning. They watched him roll his chair out, not pushed by servants, but slowly, shakily guided by his own strength. He looked at Amara, no longer mocking, no longer proud. "You gave me more than a miracle," he said. "You gave me back my life." Her reply became the words that spread across the city, repeated in whispers and songs. "Wealth is measured not by what you keep, but by what you see." From that day, the leftovers of the mansion no longer went to waste. Kitchens opened, doors unlocked, and children ate where once they starved. The millionaire's pride transformed into service, his laughter into gratitude. And Amara? She walked away still barefoot, still poor in coin but rich in something no money could ever buy. Silent dignity. Some heroes do not wear medals or sit in boardrooms. Sometimes they are children who refuse to bow to hunger or despair. Respect is not earned by wealth, but by the courage to give when giving costs everything. Where are you watching this story from today? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more stories.